Hello, everyone, and welcome to Live with Lisa. We're streaming live on both LinkedIn and Facebook. So drop us a hi in the comments and maybe even where you're tuning in from. It's helpful to me to let me know that you can hear me okay. It's always fun to see where in the world you're joining us from. Today, my guest host is John Miller, creative director and owner at Hutton-Miller. Hutton-Miller is responsible for campaigns that have resulted in over $1 billion with a B dollars in sales and has worked with brands like Disney, J Play, Sharper Image, and so many more. They're the premier go-to creative agency in the direct response business. And in a moment, I'm going to open this up for your questions, and we'll tag team getting those questions answered. Anything relating to your invention, we want to help you today. So you don't have to stick on topic, but having said that, it's really helpful. And before we dive into your questions, it's really helpful to understand exactly what direct response is for those of you who may not have heard of it before. So John, thank you so much for being here. I've been excited. You did this last minute for me and I really appreciate it.
Well,
you and I always have a lot of fun when we chat. Yeah, we go way back.
We do. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
And it's such a privilege because of your experience. I don't know if our audience realizes, but you have been doing this for a long time. And I don't say that to each of you. I've been doing it for a long time too. But you're such a deep well of knowledge and your gift. I mean, I'm sure, do you dream in direct response slogans?
I do, unfortunately. Fortunately and unfortunately.
It's slices and dices, right?
Yeah, well, I think one of the things people, hi, everybody. Nice to meet everyone. I think Lisa's point is, and I'm equally as grateful to be on with Lisa. I think she's a wealth of knowledge also in the invention community, and we've known each other for a long time. So I'm very happy to be invited to talk with you today as well. I think one of the things that people need to realize is that direct responses, and for inventors especially, it's a kind of gateway to get your product to market quicker than normal traditional, avenues. I think when you're talking direct response, in order to understand the platform, we do creative, we do everything that an advertising agency would do, meaning naming your product, branding your product, coming up with feature benefits, doing product and category research, trying to find white space, and then advertising to that a lot quicker than you do in the traditional route. And the reason we do that is because we need to get a result at the end of the day. So when we are a television commercial, and you've seen them, they have the 800 numbers on them, and they ask you to call or go to a website. We track sales of that commercial and how well it's doing. And the better it does, the more advertising. That advertising then opens up, retail distribution channels. I have this little 3-part saying that I say: product is king, creative and content is queen, and distribution is the power behind the throne. So we're the first step after product towards getting your product to market. And I say the difference between a good product and a great product is how it's marketed. So, and the direct response route provides you a faster route, a more inclusive route. And Lisa, you know that. We usually work very closely with inventors because some inventors have taken years to develop their invention. And we want to know from them what they want us to say and what they want us to do. And that's a very inclusive process. It's for most times, a very rapid process.
Which is different from when you license to a company that is not inclusive. They just want you to go away.
I wouldn't say they want you to go away, but I think you're talking, and this is good too, for inventors too. Listen, let's not talk, big companies are good and they can move a lot of product, but it's more of a thank you for an invention. And then that goes to their marketing department or their research and develop department, or the people who want to develop it and create that stuff. So it's not much of an inclusive thing. It still is good, but it's not as inclusive, a process, but still a good process nonetheless.
You have a good example for us?
I do. And I could speak to some of the processes. If you want to put that up, I'll share with everybody. This is the Nuzzle Pillow. The Nuzzle Pillow started off as a Kickstarter campaign. We did some really interesting background and some category research, and we found that there was obviously the market for pillows is huge, as we know by MyPillow, and we are by no means competing with MyPillow because we're different than MyPillow. We thought that there was a space in the market for a little bit more expensive pillow that had more features. So it started out as a Kickstarter campaign. And during the Kickstarter campaign, we tested price points, purchase intent, asked people what they thought about the name and the features. And we did a lot of listening. And from an inventor's perspective, that's what you want. At the infancy phase, we may have one idea, or inventors may have one idea of what their invention really is. But when you put it out to market to see if people really want to buy it, there might be another concept or perception. We also do social listening to see about the category, what people are talking about pillows online, and what they really want, what the breadth and the vision of the pillow should be. So we did all that for this, and we came to this space where the perceived value is $99, as you can see there, but we crossed it out and we finally landed at $49. We landed at $49 because we tested 99, 79, 59, and then we got to 49. And what we're doing, and this is important for inventors to understand, is we're reverse engineering to the price point, right? So you may start out, and Lisa and I have had this conversation related to something she's working on. We may start out with something that starts out at a cost of goods that's very high, but the market that it's going into isn't going to pay that price for it. So we have to engineer to what the market will bear for it. So with that said, you could see, we'll show you the commercial now that resulted from all that research, and then we'll talk a little bit about that.
It's 5 a.m. and you tried every pillow trick you know. The stack, the flip, even the triple-double. Yet you still wake up with neck pain, back pain, and zombie brain. It's time to break your sleepless cycle with Nuzzle, the NASA-inspired pillow that provides zero-gravity support. The secret is thousands of nanocoil fibers. Each one pushes against gravity at the microscopic level to gently support your neck and cradle your head for a feeling of plush weightlessness. But here's something you'll only get with Nuzzle. It's the world's first and only pillow that has 2 adjustable inner layers that adapt to how you like to sleep. For stomach sleepers, the slim layer provides just the right amount of softness and support. For back sleepers, the medium layer maintains straight spinal alignment. And for side sleepers, both layers combine to provide the maximum support. So you wake up pain-free and happy.
It is so super soft and supportive to my neck and back.
With the Nuzzle Pillow, I can have soft, medium, or firm all in one pillow.
Nuzzle has been vigorously lab tested and is proven to hold its shape, not just during the honeymoon phase, but for 1,001 nights and days. Plus, Nuzzle is 100% machine washable. And here's the coolest thing about Nuzzle. It's made from the same phase change fabric NASA uses in real spacesuits to regulate an astronaut's temperature. When you get hot, Nuzzle automatically responds by cooling itself off. So you're always at the optimal temperature. During this special TV offer, you can get your Nuzzle pillow for the factory direct price of just $99.99. But wait, for everyone who orders right now, we'll give you an instant 50% discount. That's just $49.99. Plus, it comes with a Nuzzle 90-day money-back guarantee. Call or log on at mynuzzle.com. That's mynuzzle.com.
All right, there you go. So before you comment too much on that, one of the things that we harp on at the Invention Accelerator is the fact that you have, in order to invent successful products, they need to be wow solutions. And those wow solutions have enough highly meaningful benefits that add up to being dramatically better than the competition. But you also have to give people a reason to believe. And one of the things that, for example, I saw in that commercial is the secret is, and then you go into the science behind it. And that after you've gotten me to say, wow, I need to believe it's still going to get the job done. And so explaining that science. And that's one of the things I see missing on sell sheets all the time is that reason to believe. If we could just follow that pattern more. When you're creating those types of spots, for example, because you're primarily involved, and I know you touch all of it, especially as the owner of the business, but I as I've known you, your gift is, like we said in the beginning, writing the copy, writing that language in a way and crafting it in a way that is compelling and believable. What's the secret there, John? How do you do it?
The secret there is plain speak. I mean, you don't overcomplicate and you keep it simple, but you present, I think for people to truly understand a concept, and I'm not saying you dumb it down, but you explain it in a way that makes sense. You go, oh yeah. And when you do that, you naturally take people through a progression. What I try to do when I do this is I try to take the spots in a flow where I answer every question you might have about the product, or we overcome every objection you might have, right? So if you just listen, I say, if you ask enough questions, you listen hard enough and long enough, people will tell you how they want to be sold. Now, the paradigm shift that we're seeing, and it translates into the writing, is really people want an emotional attachment to a product. They want to be part of a community. They want to know how it's going to affect their lives, how their lives will be better. So it's less about, I could have took this in a whole scientific thing. You notice there was the nanocoils, there was the NASA inspired, there was the coolly changing of fabric, but that wasn't as important as, if you're a side sleeper, here's your benefit. If you're a stomach sleeper, here's your benefit. You know, you'll wake up feeling,
because that's what matters most to me, right? As
right.
a user.
And you'll wake up happy and pain-free. That's an emotion attached to a feature and a benefit. So when I write, I'm always thinking in the emotional sense. I'm always thinking of attaching emotions to it, like big words we use. You know, you'll love the way the pillow feels. You'll love, imagine yourself just sleeping in comfort all night long. For me, it really is. And that, but I will tell you, and I will say this honestly, everything we write comes from research development. Every product we have has a scientific portion to it. I don't care if it's a blanket or it's a cup or it's a something. We sold years ago a product called Mighty Putty, and we did a demonstration where it's before Flex Seal. It's a bonding agent. So you basically, I took a hot cup of coffee. We poured the hot coffee into the cup. While I was pouring the coffee into the cup, I sealed the handle on it and we lifted it up. Now, did that make any sense in selling putty? No, but people have coffee in the morning. They're emotionally attached to it and they paid attention. So yeah, when I write, we definitely, there's an emotional element and there's a science element to every feature and benefit we do.
I love it. I'm going to answer just a couple quick questions.
One last thing, real quick. One last thing. You always have to have a unique brand position. So we'll talk about that later.
Yeah. In fact, let's come right back to that. I just want to let Terrence know, who's asking if this will be posted anywhere. Yes, Terrence, the same feed that you're looking at, if you're on LinkedIn or if you're on Facebook, you can come back to my page, and afterwards this will always be there. And you can still even ask your questions in the comments below the video long after we've finished up today. So we'll still be here for you. Carol, yes, mynuzzle.com is the correct website. I needed to double check.
And if anybody wants to look, we do have a YouTube channel as well. Hutton-Miller has a YouTube channel. We have over 106,000 subscribers. So if you want to see more of the work, a lot of it's there.
What is that? Hutton YouTube? Do you know what the...
Yeah, I think it's Hutton-Miller on YouTube. You can just type in the YouTube, search YouTube Hutton-Miller.
So this is
also Hutton-Miller.com. Yeah.
Perfect. So this is John's website for Hutton-Miller.com. And if you put Hutton-Miller into YouTube, you'll find them just the same there. And I'll leave that up for just a moment. Okay.
Thank you.
So you were saying? I'm
saying most importantly, when you're inventing, and Lisa's aptly named Invention Accelerator because she can, she knows where I'm going right now and why we have to, why it's important to accelerate and be different and be first, fast and furious before anybody else. But the key to an invention is uniqueness, and it's better to be first in a category than second in a category. And if you can't be first in a category, create a category you can be first in. We talk about Nuzzle as the world's first zero gravity pillow. You've never heard that before? No.
Never knew it mattered.
No,
right?
And it didn't. It didn't until we marketed it.
Until you showed me it was a problem.
Right. And we actually proved that point. If you watch in the spot, that girl was lifted up off the bed on a special rig to show that she was kind of floating on the bed, which hammered home that zero gravity point. Feels like you're sleeping on a cloud, right?
Right.
So when you're thinking of your invention, think of what you want to be the first in, and there's a wonderful world out there now that really embraces new ideas and different thinking. And I mean that not only in television, we do Facebook advertising, we do TikTok, we do Instagram. There's a lot of different ways to launch your product now than there was before, but you still have to be unique. And that's where the branding comes in, meaning what are you calling? It says, what are you? What do you do? And how do I get it? Those are the three questions. What are you? What do you do? And how do I get it? Simple as that. And if you can define those things and be more than anybody, be different than listen, Sometimes things are the same. We did a hammer once, right? And you'd say, how can you sell a hammer? Well, this hammer had a cartridge in it that you, a slot in it, you put nails in, you click it, the nail came to the head, and you set the nail and hammer it all in one motion. We called it the world's first one-handed hammer. Now all hammers are one-handed, but if you had to set a nail, and you had to hit a nail, you had to use two hands. So
I remember that spot.
It's very important. Yeah.
So, okay. So what are the rules for a good product, a product that would make a good fit for a direct response campaign?
They're simple rules, and a lot of some products are, and let me just define this real quickly. In the product category, don't be disappointed if your product's not a direct response television product. Some products, and we've talked about this, Lisa and I, ad nauseum, some products are just straight e-commerce products. Some products are catalog products. Some products are home shopping products. And it just depends on the platform you want to use. But a good direct response product is a product that solves a problem. And you've seen it throughout time. If there's a problem, like we just stated in that commercial, you've tried every trick in the book, the flip, the flop, the da-da-da. It's a problem-solving product that has high perceived value because it's solving a problem that you've had. Like we did a pancake maker that you could actually flip the pan and it flipped the pancake. It was called the Perfect Pancake Maker. And we said the problem is flipping pancakes. So really dive deep into what the problem is. Number one, if it solves a problem. Number two, if it's a good value, meaning that good value for money. What a lot of products, and we do nowadays, is we look at a category and we say, wow, the only cat product in this category is $699. Can I make something that's affordable and still has the same features? So that's the second thing we want to talk about. We look at categories. Is there something out there solving a problem that costs so much money that I can reinvent and look at better? And then the third thing, which is really, something that, you have to find out through research and development, is does your product break through feature and benefit? Meaning that, can you make a compelling enough story about your product that it sticks out from everything else? Meaning, I often use the analogy in internet advertising. We talk about this. I think internet advertising nowadays is basically a hill of ants, and the one who's carrying the biggest piece of food gets to the queen, right? You have to be the one carrying the biggest piece of food. You have to have the unique. So look at Flex Seal. I will tell you the story about Flex Seal. Flex Seal was basically undercoating. You went to the car dealership and they tried to upsell you undercoating for your car. And they would tell you it prevents rust, it prevents snow damage, yada, yada. Well, the people at Flex Seal were smart enough to say, I'm going to put this stuff in a can. I'm going to sell it as a spray, and it's going to seal everything. And that's what they did. So they just reinvented the brand, rethought about the features and benefit, and sold it. So there's a lot of different things that go into that, but that's pretty much the base of it, at least.
So when an inventor is considering direct response, does it need to be a consumer product, or can it be a business to business product?
Tougher for business to business. We know that. We talked about that. Business to business is more a lead generation kind of thing. What's happening now? We have some work we do for. We're working for and unfortunately I can't say who it is, but it's a auto and car repair insurance, right? So in that case, it's a two-step process. You have to get the call to a call center. At the call center, the person closes the call. Same thing with business to business. You have to drive the person, and then you have to have somebody on the other end. But intellectual property might be different. If you have a book or a program or a weight loss program or something like that, direct response could work for that as well. Exercise products, things of that nature.
Right on. So if you're just tuning in and you missed in the beginning, direct response is what we're talking about today. And direct response is basically a direct call to action from the consumer, whoever it is that's going to purchase. So whether that's a lead generation type product or it's an actual product where you're going to ship when they place their order. And that can happen. It used to be television, radio, print. Now it's everywhere.
And direct mail. Now it's everywhere.
And direct mail, exactly.
Amazon, yeah, and we talk about Amazon too. For inventors today, Amazon's a big marketplace. Amazon's the internet gorilla. So there's a lot of people nowadays who are just, you can't have a single product on Amazon. You have to have a storefront and create a storefront. But I think Amazon's another great marketplace once you do get your invention. I mean, you could build a multi-million-dollar business just on Amazon if you're with the right company. So, and there's companies out there that do that as well.
So we're really lucky to have John because he is incredibly talented, has a wealth of experience in writing creative copy and understands the entire direct response business. Feel free to drop your questions in the comments and we'll take them in the order that they come in. So if somebody is, I get this question a lot of people when they have a new product and have to create a video to pitch for licensing along with their sell sheet. They think that they need to go the direct response route and have this really elaborate video. But if you're going to partner with an inventor, for example, do they need to submit something really high end, or is it what would you be looking for in that?
No,
video?
we have vision. Just I tell people with the advent of with the technology and smart devices and cell phones nowadays, it's just a lot. We have vision. Just lock it down, show what it does. And we'll get it. It doesn't have to be this big production. And, we look at things that are just single set. Like, listen, we live in the Facebook generation. It's a Facebook Live thing or a TikTok thing, or just it has to be engaging enough to get us excited. So if it has, remember, when you are creating videos, put your best foot forward when it comes to demonstrating the product, telling us what the product does. It doesn't have to be belabored. We all are a short attention span theater. So as quickly get to the point as quickly as possible, and have fun with it. You know what I mean? Just have fun with it. Because at the end of the day, a good product always finds a home. And Lisa, you know that. I mean, there's people out there. If you show enough people, someone's gonna bite. And then at some point, we always say to inventors, don't let disappointment or people turning you down stop your ideation. Don't let it keep you from, because if you believe you have something that you could sell or people want, that's the most important thing.
So Carol has a question about the platforms you were just mentioning, but before we answer that question, let me just make the distinction between what long form and short form is, to your point earlier about pricing and who you can sell to.
Sure.
When would you do either, and with what types of products?
Well, in direct response advertising, there's two forms of advertising. There's short form commercials, which you've seen them, which are run in length anywhere from 60 seconds to 2 minutes. And I will share with everybody, there's certain direct response advertising that people don't even realize is direct response advertising. If you've ever seen a Progressive ad, Progressive is direct response. All the drug companies are using direct response. Jake from State Farm. I mean, everybody drives you to a website. Liberty Mutual is direct response. So there's short form and there's long form. Short form is 60-second and 2-minute commercials. Long form is a half-hour infomercial. And that's what everybody thinks. Back in the day, everybody say, oh, did you see that cheesy infomercial at 2:00 in the morning? Now we are solicited by Fortune 500 companies every day who want to know the secret to direct response advertising and how they can offset the cost by selling something during the show. So short form is 60 and 2-minute, long form is a half an hour. Both same concepts. They have to drive a sale. They have to end with a sale.
And would you sell the same product on a 2-minute spot that you would sell on a 30-minute?
No. And Lisa, I keep saying we've had these conversations. People might think, we've done extensive conversations.
I'm just asking for the sake of our audience. Yeah.
About this topic. Yeah. And what happens, a higher priced item, like 200. Now this is changing though still. I don't want to talk in definitives, but if you have an item that's over $300, $400, that might be a long form. If you have an exercise equipment, that might be a long form. Anything that you need multiple layers of explanation to talk about, like a water purifier, like air. Right now, a very popular one is an air cleaning system, and that's something you would do a long form on. So,
okay,
more explaining, more. The more you need to explain, the more you need to feature, better, expensive, the longer the format. I think.
And we could easily talk about all the different parts and pieces and when to choose which and why for half an hour. But
we could. But with that said, we sell $200. We do granite stone. We're the granite stone guys. So we sell, 20-piece granite stone cooking sets for $200 all day long on short form. So it just depends. It depends on the item.
Okay, so based on that, what are the differences between the platforms? And I would just add when you would use them.
Sure. Hi, Carol. Thanks for the question. Appreciate it. Well, the differences between the platforms, it's you market differently. On television, it's very high-end, feature benefit, really nice visuals, and really important that you present the product to compete with everything else we're watching. So that's television. When you're talking about Facebook advertising needs to be more genuine, more live, like you're looking in on someone's life. And that's something, that we do often with testimonial based spots. Like we're actually talking to people talking back to people. So that's Facebook. Twitter, you want to stop somebody in the Twitter feed. Now, Instagram in the feed. And with that said, in Instagram, if you're too polished, people don't stop on the feed. So these platforms, and radio is a whole different animal. If you're doing radio's really got to be punched through. But all these platforms have a viewing pattern to them that you have to study and look at and create to. So we do that. That's what we do.
Right on.
I hope I answered that for you, Carol.
Yeah, no, I think that was great. But Carol, if you want to follow up, you're welcome to drop another question in the comments. Wendy, I'm not sure I understand your question. If you're selling somebody's product, do they have to pay you to sell it? If you buy it, then you've paid them for the right to sell it.
No. Hi, Wendy. I think I know what she's asking. I hope I got it right. If I don't, just tell me. So you mean if we as a company are selling someone's product, we don't do. Basically, people come to us and say, here's my product. I want to sell it on TV. We create the advertising for it. And for that, we are compensated on each sale, a very small percentage. So like music, like in the music business, when an artist gets a royalty on one of their songs, that's how we're compensated. We don't actually benefit. We don't sell the product directly. We work with partners who do that, distributing companies and things of that nature. So our clients come to us. They have the infrastructure to already sell stuff. And I said to Lisa, we are a conduit to all those big players in the space that can actually take your invention, license it from you, pay you. And I say this not as an incentive, just as a thing. And basically, they'll send a check, and all you have to do is go out to the mailbox and pick up the check, if that's what you want. So we're a conduit to that, similar to what you do with a Fortune 500. So there's people in our industry, and Lisa knows who they are, and we deal with all of them. So.
And if you want to know how you can submit your ideas to Mr. Miller here, you can send your sell sheet to info or your video demonstration to info@huttonmiller.com. And I'll leave that up for you for a bit. That actually segues really well into Mer's question. Hi, John. I see a lot of products listed on your site. Some say All-Star, some say Sparks, some say others. What was your involvement with those particular products?
That's a great follow-up question to the previous one from Wendy. So Mira, yes, All-Star would be the distributor, meaning Spark would be the distributor who you'd make the deal with. And then we would be the marketing partner that helps them market those products. So we act as the marketing partner for them, create the content, work on how to bring that product to market. And that's our involvement.
Right. So I hope I'm saying your name right, Mir. It's beautiful. If I'm not, please help me know how to say it the right way. Wendy asks, also, how much inventory does an inventor have to have on hand before approaching your group?
Wendy, we like these questions. They're good. Actually, zero. The inventory risk is not, unless, listen, we all can't do this alone. And I tell inventors all the time that we believe in a share the wealth mentality. We talk about inclusiveness, and really you don't have to make the investment in inventory. Not necessary, as long as you have, I would say you'd have to, and Lisa just shared something with me as well. I would say you'd have to make the investment in some type of CAD drawing or some type of concept drawing of the product that we can see what the inner workings are, but there's zero in inventory. But the time for inventory will come. We didn't explore this yet, but I'll just share with you real quick. We have a web testing process and a SurveyMonkey process, and where we do product research on the product. We would have to invest in inventory at that time, maybe 1 or 2 samples maybe a 3D printed sample, maybe a cut and sew sample or whatever. And we do that.
Yep. And then Wendy, just to kind of tie that up, when you submit your product to a direct response company, they will, just like John was explaining, they're going to vet the opportunity. And they do that with the Survey Monkeys and the web tests, where maybe it's just a quick one page on the internet with a call to action and a video that they've shot. Not super like over the top, just enough to get the feedback and determine whether or not it's worth taking the next steps. And I would encourage every inventor to fully validate their opportunities before they move forward anyway. So this is one way that you can do that. And certainly working with a direct response company, if your product is a good fit, is a fabulous way. I think direct response, I don't know, John, about you, but I think direct response is the perfect way for an invention, as long as it fits, again, the criteria that you were talking about earlier, to get launched, because the whole point is to explain to a consumer that's never seen or heard of that type of problem or solution before. You're going to not only tell me about the solution, but explain why it's a problem for me, so that now I know I need it.
Sure. I'll give you, this is the 30,000 foot view 10 years down the road when you have a successful brand with line extensions.
Right.
The top story in our industry is basically the Flawless brand, if you know what Flawless is. Flawless started out in direct response. Yep. And basically sold to Church and Dwight for close to $1 billion. One of my other clients sold this year, Rejuvenate, used all direct response advertising, a floor cleaner. We did that for them, sold the company for $300 million. So it is a good way to introduce a product to the market, build a brand, have very not low cost, but really try to self-fund your advertising. That's a conversation for another day, but it is really a good way to get your product to market rapidly. But I will share this. What a lot of inventors have the challenge with, and we need to see more of, is do your homework before you present a product to us. Find out if there's anything that's ever been made like it. Don't allow us, the people who are going to license the product from you and market it, to discover that back in 1989, there was a similar product. So I say to inventors, if you really want to make a splash, do your homework. Find out what there was. If you have a better mousetrap, tell me why it's a better mousetrap, and that there were 7 mousetraps before it, and here's why they didn't sell. So I tell people, do their homework, know your category, know your product.
Good advice.
Like on Shark Tank, they always say, come with good information. Come with good information.
You have to have a business case, and maybe people haven't heard that word before. You can buy lots of books on how to build a business case. And like you would a business model, you're just basically fleshing out the business opportunity and the cost of goods, the cost to sell, the retail, the MSRP is the margin there, which goes to actually our next question.
Great.
One of our LinkedIn users says, what is the typical margin needed for DRTV items to see a product as marketable? Let's just say I can make it for $35 and believe it can go to retail for $130 to $150 realm. Is that an acceptable range?
That's a great question. And if you leave that up for a little bit, Lisa, I can answer
sure.
it.
I'm happy to. Yeah, it's a good
in the parts it is. Nowadays with supply chain issues, and that's an even bigger conversation than we talked about. This is a moving target. But yes, in this case, if you can make it for $35 and you can believe it go to retail, usually it's a 2-time markup. So you make it for $35, we sell it into retail for the distributor will sell it into retail for $70, and the retail cost of that will be $150. Very well said. That's actually correct. Back in the old days, in order to make television work, we would need a 3 to 4 time margin, but that's gone by the wayside. Right now, all TV needs to do is break even. So what I mean by break even is that we have a pro forma we put together, and we call that an allowable. Still another long question, but we have a metric we use to sell it on TV, all in cost of goods, cost of phone call, cost to take a credit card. If we break even on a product, meaning for every dollar we spend in media, we make $1, everybody's happy. You're self-funding your media. Now, in outlier cases, there are some that do 2 for every dollar, 3 for every dollar, but that's rare nowadays. But you're right on it. You're very accurate. But in order to really entice someone, and I go back to what I said earlier, Low cost of goods, high perceived value. Imagine we had a comb. I'll give you an example. We do a thing called Hair Shark, and Hair Shark was just featured in a Halle Berry film because it has that breakthrough creative. So it takes your hair from dull and straight to voluminous with just a comb, and the comb was so unique that it was two-sided. One was shark teeth looking, and one was boar's hair. Low cost of goods, meaning the comb must have been about $2 landed cost, $2.30, but we sell it for $29. And we discovered that even if we went up higher, people thought it had more perceived value. So it's always good to have a product that has low cost of goods, high perceived value, so you have more margin in it. And when you have that margin in it, you can afford to advertise more for it. You can afford to, not have it you'll get more distribution from it, and people will be more interested in it. So I hope I answered your question.
That's an awesome answer. Perceived value, guys. Don't forget about that. We're not just going to the suggested retail price is not only dictated by what your cost of goods are and how to get it to that price, but if you can get more, you should get more, because perceived value at the end of the day is what you should be selling.
Well, that's especially true. I can use the example. That's especially true in cosmetics.
Yeah.
Because if you tell a woman that you have the greatest wrinkle cream, well, only Regenerist is doing a very good job, but Regenerist says, how are we better than these $400 creams? So right away you think Regenerist is like a $400 cream, but it's less. I'm going to get it. Same thing. No, really, seriously.
Yeah.
Perception is reality. So, and Stephen Jobs says that. Perceived value is better than real value. And that's where advertising comes in. You don't want to lie to people. You want to make real promises, but you want to build that perceived value. We do that a lot by saying, you've seen similar items sell for as much as $600, but you won't pay $600. So affordable luxury is where we are. And just adding to that point, you see the proliferation of all these malls that have Nordstrom's Rack, Saks Off Fifth, a Neiman's Last Call. They're selling affordable luxury, and people are flocking to them, and they're growing because they want the discount.
And it's the value. Always back to the value.
Perceived value.
So Sharon, just wanted to share. It's excellent information, very encouraging. So thank you for that. Deb asks, what type of products are you seeking to license, John?
I'll make this really simple. Good ones. Good idea. There's no such thing as a bad idea. And I tell people all the time, the only bad idea or bad product is the one that you don't share. That's what I say.
Well,
but again, going back,
realistically, I've seen.
I'm going to go back. I just wanted to be empowering and positive. But I'm going back to what I said earlier, right? Products that solves problems.
Yeah.
Products that solve problems. Because
they'll always every inventor say that they've invented something that solves a problem. That's why they did it in the first place. I think everybody.
There are some great products that don't solve problems. I mean, there are great self-motivational books and things that people. There's technology products. There's better ways to there's chip. We're doing a product right now. I'll give you an example that is going to be revolutionary. That takes a chip. And the really bottom line is we didn't have any product. We just had a chip. We said, what are we going to do with this chip? And then we built a product around the chip based on all the features of this unique chip. So that's an example of what I'm talking about.
Okay, makes sense. I think that
it doesn't necessarily have to be a product. An idea is an idea.
What we harp on with the Invention Accelerator is that it has to solve a big enough problem for enough people to be worth investing your time and money in. So I think that would be the only qualifier, a problem that is solved by an elegant solution that is a big enough problem for enough people, and then give people that reason. I highly recommend
it. Yeah, you're right. And I highly recommend as it's scrolling across the bottom. I've worked with Lisa for a lot of years, and I think the first step would be to get Lisa involved. If you want to talk about what your products are and if they're for the market, whether it be direct response or any market, I don't know anybody better at that assessment or analysis than Lisa. We've shared many conversations, and we've actually gone to ideation sessions all over the country where we sat in a room for 3 days and ideated with some of the biggest companies in the country. And so Lisa is definitely the first stop on my way to finding out what a good product is.
Yep. Book a free call with me. Just follow the link. Go to theinventionaccelerator.com if you want to book a free call. I'm happy to take a look at your Excel sheet or your video, or even just talk about your product and see if pointing you to John or any other direction is helpful. In fact, actually, a good follow up to that last question also. Joy asks, how viable is a product that's seasonal?
Hi, Joy. Thank you for the question, and that's a good one.
Oh, good.
There is viability to seasonal products.
Okay.
You're not going to get as much play on them, but depending on how big the category is and the season, like I'll give you an example. I always have this argument with the Granite Stone folks, and I really want to do a commercial for a bakeware set, a non-stick bakeware set. Currently, if you watch our Granite Stone spots, we give away a 5-piece bakeware set free as a bonus when you buy the whole set. But the set is so good, and we cook with it. I cook with it every day. I'm going, I can sell these. I can sell these. But my client keeps telling me it's seasonal. It's seasonal. It just depends on how big that season is.
Yeah.
If you're talking a summer product, you could sell a lot of products in the whole summer season, right? If you're talking a winter product, I'll give you an example. Right now on television, there's Sunjo sells the Sunjo snowblower. And they run direct response ads for a snowblower just as this time of year. You see GT Works. They're all the lawn and garden things. They run them during the time. And there's every year you see those seasonal things come up. The pocket hose is a seasonal item. They sold millions and millions of those. So yes, there is a market for a seasonal product depending on how big the season is. And what you're selling in that season. If it's something that everybody wants to use, great. If it's something, I will caution everyone. Stay away from niche products. We talk about that all the time. Don't go attacking a niche and think you're going to create a bigger market because you have a better solution in the niche. A niche is always going to be a niche.
Yeah.
And
how do you define a niche, John?
Well, a niche is defined by there's not enough consumers, and it's a specialty use. I make an example, and this will be an interesting example. You're never going to. Anyway, everybody's looking for the perfect nose hair trimmer, right?
Right.
But when you look at what MicroTouch is doing, it started out as a nose hair trimmer and they couldn't sell it, right? Because everybody, when you use a nose hair trimmer, maybe once a month, maybe if you're looking, but they turned it into an all-around grooming piece. Now I can do my beard and my sideburns and my back and this and that. So that's kind of a good example.
All the versatility is what brought in the opportunity.
Yeah. Fire extinguishers are a niche. Nobody thinks they need a fire extinguisher until they have a fire, but you do need one every day. Right.
Yep.
So
it is. And these are all really great questions, Joy. The only thing that I have found, I have had some seasonal products that with clients and students that have gotten turned down. There are some direct response companies without a doubt that are really only looking for the big, broad play. They don't want to focus. And then there are others that are really only focused in certain maybe fitness is a good example. So, finding the right partner could make a difference in who you go to. You might hear something completely different than what John said, but that's because that's their choice of how they want to run their business model.
Right. And there's a lot of, like I say, most marketers, licensing companies who want to license product are looking for line extension. So when you're thinking of your invention, think of not just one. We do the Calming Heat brand for Sharper Image. Calming Heat is a blanket, a heated blanket, a massaging wrap, a shoulder wrap. It's a whole line. If you go into retail stores, you'll see Calming Heat. It's a line of products. So when you're inventing, think of that one product, but think of how you could line extend and create a brand.
Right on. Okay, next up we have, I just saw it. Where'd it go? Here we go. Clay. Hi, Clay. Glad you're here. How do you determine the manufactured cost of a new item? What do you do in the beginning when you're reviewing a product if an inventor comes and doesn't know?
Well, we have sourcing. Our distributors have sourcing agents, and they source it all over the world. So that's how we determine the manufactured cost. We basically have to consult the sourcing agency, who then again can consult with the factories and talk about if there's molds involved or what the actual manufacturing process will be. A lot of the companies we work have sourcing departments. They also have design departments and things that will actually help, design the product if you license it to them. But again, like I said, bring it as developed as possible. The more developed it is, the better, easier, quicker we get it to there, and the more cost effective it can be. But manufactured cost is always determined, and we source all over the world, not only in China. We source in the States. We're sourcing in Vietnam. We're sourcing in Korea. We're sourcing in Mexico. We're sourcing in, wherever there's a factory that has capability, our clients have sourced.
Do you always determine the absolute cost of goods, or do you ever move forward in the initial vetting stage just based on eyeball guessing, guesstimating? Because you and I have been doing this for a long time.
We plan for success right up front. What we do is we plan for success, meaning when this hits, here's what it's going to cost. But again, I'm going back to, I know this sounds like a broken record. I don't want to sound like a news channel, but supply chain issues have really put a kink in determining cost of goods. Really have. Cost of moving a product to and from wherever we're moving from, container cost, shipping costs. I'll just give everybody an example. Just don't quote me on this, but what used to cost what we used to put on a truck and take from California, say, to a distribution center in the middle of America used to cost $3,000. Now it costs $9,000. So really, that cost basis is really hard to determine sometimes.
So now you need to know more, that you have to ask more than ever. I
know precisely, because it's an ever-changing target, so
moving. Yeah. Is there any advice you can give to inventors who don't have all the relationships that you already have in place to get the cost of goods? Obviously they're afraid.
Now, information is free, right? But I'm going back to what I said earlier. I said, talk to someone like Lisa, really, really determine. I think sharing the idea and involving as many people as possible and getting as much information you can is always valuable. I think inventors, have challenges doing that because they think it's proprietary. That's what a non-disclosure agreement is for. If you have a non-disclosure on your invention, the person will sign it. Talk to everybody you can talk to. Get as much information as you can. Information is free. And you might get that light bulb moment, or talk to someone who has that light bulb moment and say, oh yeah, I like that. Really do that. But share. It's important. Very important.
Could someone get just, say, a US quote so that they feel safer face-to-face getting the NDA versus going to Alibaba, for example, and getting a foreign quote?
Yes, absolutely. I would say that. But just on average, just from my experience, US quotes are much higher than overseas.
So that actually is the follow-up to my question. If they do, are you able then to basically
extrapolate what it would cost?
Close to know very quickly whether or not it's worth now taking under your wings and going and getting a source, one of your sourcing agents to get you a quote?
Yes.
Could they start there?
Yes. Yeah,
okay.
That's a good.
Because you're talking about being as prepared as possible, and if an inventor if their skills and ability really only lend itself to getting a quote here, would that be enough to come to you to then?
Sure. Yeah. As long as they got something, that starts the process. Yeah. I always say it's better to be prepared than scared. So the more preparation, that's a great preparation piece. So yeah, you're right.
Right on. Okay, let's see here. Back to our questions. Carol asks, do you sell international, or do you have affiliates that do that?
We work through distributors internationally. So every country is different. Yes, we do sell internationally. We do have a global presence. We have a global person who works with us on the West Coast that we engage when we have a product. We engage, as well as my clients engage, as a central hub to distribute all over the world. That person has a relationship with distributors in Canada, China, Japan, Germany, Dubai. We basically have a commercial airing in every market in the world at some point during the day, every day. So yes, we do.
So Carol's a student. She does have a follow-up question here, but before we get into this submission practice really quick, hers is in the PPE space. Is direct response a candidate for PPE, like masks, for example?
We did masks. We did clean zone masks, Carol, and yes, it is, but it's a short shelf life. It's an in and out kind of thing. Because what happens is we did the first mask commercial with clean zone masks, and I would do it. I had some criteria for it. I said I would only do it if we don't take any masks away from hospitals and first responders. We donated a portion of the proceeds to a charity, and we donated a percentage of the masks to those first responders. So we put that all together, and there was about a 7-week window, and we sold 1.6 million masks. And I felt good about that, right?
That's amazing.
But be careful, because everybody's in that business now. Everybody. If you look on Amazon and you type in anything, there's a myriad of things, even test kits. And we're doing something right now I can't share, but even test kits.
I can't believe we only have 10 minutes. I wish this was a 2-hour show with you. So just to answer her follow-up question, how long does it usually take if someone submits a product to you for you to approve?
We try to be as quick as possible, but we ask for the most amount of patience. You can understand from our perspective, there are a lot of submissions. So we try to get to every single one in a timely manner. And sometimes we don't. And if we don't, just bug us. It's simple as that.
Nicely. Because if you came to John through me, I want to make sure you're taking good care of him. So you better be nice to him. Wendy's wondering if you also do sourcing as part of licensing, or do you do it?
Well, if a distributor picks up your product, yes, they will help with sourcing. If a distributor starts to say they'll license your product, then yes, they will help with sourcing.
Okay. Awesome. One more time,
Yeah,
Carol.
out there.
Carol, how do you classify your type of business? Businesses that license various innovations and bring them to market.
Those are our partners. We are a marketing firm. So basically what we do is our partners bring the product. We share, if you're going to share an idea with me, I share it with our partners, and then we work for them to help them. We are not an actual licensee. It's very rare we get involved in that.
So when you so when you're helping partner them with the right, because you do have so many different partners, I'm sure you're going to figure out the ideal, if it's toys.
Yeah, there's a footprint. We have a big footprint in toys. We have a big footprint in housewares. We have a big footprint in cosmetics and hair care. And we basically we have, not to, they say if you don't blow your horn, nobody's going to blow it for you. But of the top 50 commercials in this space last year, we had 16 of the top commercials in the top 50, and 16 of those were inside the top 30. So, and that's based on media spending. So
that's right. You guys are killing it. Calvin asks, I have an As Seen on TV product that got very far in the initial interest stage. They ended up dropping the product because I believe it was a cog. Do you think I should redevelop the product and pitch it to another As Seen on TV company?
That depends on what ASO TV company you pitched it to. If it's a really highly respected company and they really did their due diligence and you feel strongly that they did, and it didn't go anywhere, that might be, a sign for you to not stop throwing yourself against that brick wall. But if you feel at any point there might be an opportunity to redevelop and look at the cost of goods, I always say absolutely. Absolutely.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Could Calvin send you the spot and get your opinion on whether it would be worth it?
Absolutely.
I know I'm asking. I put you on the spot in front of everybody.
Oh, of course. No. For you, Lisa, you can send me the spot.
No, not for me. For Calvin. For Calvin.
For Calvin and you, yes. You can send me the spot. It's okay.
I just appreciate everybody participating so much today. Before we run out of time, Wendy's asking if we have a tech pack made, but not any exact pricing, should we send that to you along with our video and sell sheet?
Sure.
Okay, great. Send it over. Terrence, is there a specific product that you're looking for right now? That's actually a good question for a lot.
It is a good question. It is a good question. And Terrence, like I said earlier, and I don't want to I don't want to not answer your question, but we're always looking for good products, number one. But right now, what seems to be anything related to, because of the COVID situation, we've sold a ton of cookware items because people are staying home and cooking. That's a happy accident, right? We do TableMate. TableMate is a product that gives you a table so you can be 6 feet distance away. So look at what's going on in the world. Look at what's happening. Look at Facebook. Look at TikTok. Look at Instagram. Look at what's trending. If it's a light that's trending, then we're looking for light products. We're doing the same thing you're doing. Look at Amazon. Look at the top selling products on Amazon. Look at what comes up on the first page. You know what I'm saying? So we're looking for what you're looking for. So we look for what's trending in the world, where people are going, and how we can be ahead of the trend. Like I said earlier with I think it was Carol's question about PPEs. We did masks before anybody did masks because we were looking for that trend. We saw that trend coming. So keep your ear to social media, keep your ear in the news, keep your ear, talk to your friends, ask your friends, hey, what are you guys into? What are you guys looking at? What's happening?
What's
and if
trending?
you keep your ears open, someone will tell you.
It's awesome.
My favorite line, Lisa, is Did you see that blank on Instagram? Did you see that on TikTok? Did you see
Right.
that on the news? I was seeing a little kid in the street playing with this thing. Did you see that? So keep your ears and eyes open, and it'll come to you.
That is good. That's really good advice. People are already asking for us to have you back, John. I hope you will, but we're not quite done yet. I have a question for you.
Sure.
First of all, do you need to have a patent or a patent pending to do direct response?
I'm going to give you the best advice of this call, and I've given it to Lisa before. Okay. Patent pending is always great. And utility is always great. And here's why. Patent pending, no one can go in and look at your invention. Patented, they can. So when you're talking a new inventor, I always highly recommend patent pending. Then we have that window before you go to patent to get everything we need to do to get done to get this, product to market. Now, in saying that, patent pending is not cheap, right? So
it is for the provisional application, but the provisional is only
provisional
for 12 months.
You're right. You're right. With provisional, it is. You're right. Right. But that's another trip to USPTO. You know what I mean?
Right.
You got to look at that stuff and see, because you might file for provisional and you might not get it because of something else that was there. So I always say consult with an expert. So you file a provisional and then you don't get it and we're really in trouble. So, but yeah, patent pending is always better.
Best. Okay, got it. And you talked earlier, and I just want to make sure we wrap this up because this is super helpful for whether people go into direct response or not. What can we learn from your methods of vetting the market? The one page that we talked about earlier, for example, that inventors could potentially do on their own to test or flesh out how potentially successful the product might be.
Well, I'll use the term we all have this, and I do it myself now. It's called the focus group, right? And we all have that friend focus group or that coworker focus group or people we, really value their opinion or we don't value their opinion.
You're like it's Fs, right? Friends, family,
right? Right. If you have a kids, what we do for kids products, we set ourselves up in a school one day and we interviewed second graders to sixth graders to try to say, what do they like about Amazing Elastic Plastic? You can go out and do your own personal focus group. Develop a list of 10 questions or 5 to 10 questions and ask people, what do you think of this product? I was thinking of calling it this. Do you like that name? This is what my product does. Do you have anything like that? You know what I mean? So we have our own internal focus groups. And they'll tell, again, it goes back to social listening. Listen to the people. They'll tell you how to sell their product and if they want it or not. It starts with a conversation.
That's awesome. I'm curious what you think about this. In the Invention Accelerator, we talk about before you even invent it, having those conversations, but not telling anyone what your solution is. What you're really doing is interviewing enough people. What do you currently do when? Set up.
Yeah, that's a good intro, Lisa, but I think what if I told you that? What if I told you that there was a product that could blah, blah, blah.
Oh, that's another great way to say it. Yes.
Something you would be interested in. And what if I told you that product would cost under $100? And what if I told you that product came in green and blue and you could buy it, blah, 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 blah. So really, that's, or these are the open-ended story questions. Imagine if there was something that could help you sleep so soundly that you slept for 10 hours straight.
There it is again.
Right?
Well, so for example, the point is we want to know how big of a problem it is, what they're currently using to solve it, so that we're getting a feeling for the competitive landscape. Where did they find out about it? How much did they spend on it? What do they love? What don't they love? And if they don't love it, why do they still buy it and use it? It might be because there's nothing else better. I mean, these types of insights help you to know if it's worth investing enough to get to the point where you can be on the other side, where now you have it in your hands and you're doing the second focus group that you were just talking about. But hopefully you find out sooner than later. You don't want to invest a lot and get to that point and then find out it really wasn't a good idea after all.
We have Friday night at John's house. We invite everybody over, my neighbors, my kids. I have kids in my neighborhood and I show my neighbors and they're really, really honest with me. So your neighbors and your friends.
Well, yours are. Oh, all right. Well, John, you're the best. I appreciate you. I love this. This was so much fun. I feel like we could have just spent a half a day doing it. Hopefully you'll come back and do this again with me in a couple months. Thank you everybody for joining us. You can catch us on the other side after the recording. And if you have any questions, feel free to book a call with me or watch the free 1-hour course at theinventionaccelerator.com. Thank you all. for being here. Have a great day.
Thanks for having me, and thanks everybody. See you soon.
Thanks. Thank you, John.
Bye.